I'm Ryan. I'm 28, and my own blood turned on me in the most vicious way imaginable, framing me for stealing a $15,000 Rolex and $5,000 in cash right at my brother's birthday bash. But before I reveal how I uncovered their web of lies, exposed a hidden inheritance scam worth $150,000, and watched their world crumble while I rose from the ashes, tell me in the comments, where are you watching from right now? It's wild to think you're out there, maybe feeling that same gut-wrenching betrayal I've lived through. Picture this. It all exploded at my younger brother Ethan's 23rd birthday party on the rooftop of the Skyline Lounge in downtown New York City. This wasn't some casual get-together with pizza and beer. No, this was a lavish affair overlooking the glittering Manhattan skyline, complete with $30 cocktails garnished with gold flakes and a live DJ spinning beats that drowned out the city noise below. The air was thick with the scent of high-end cologne and whispered ambitions, a facade my parents, Michael and Susan, clung to like a lifeline. They rented the entire space, sparing no expense, but here's the twist I never saw coming. I was the one footing the bill for it all, silently bankrolling their illusion of wealth for 5 grueling years. As a senior financial analyst grinding away in a Wall Street firm, I'd been their invisible ATM, paying the $4,100 monthly mortgage on our family brownstone in Upper East Side, covering Ethan's $50,000 a year tuition at an elite private college, and quietly settling their mounting credit card debts from luxury splurges. Why? Because family, right? Or so I thought. That night, I stood by the edge of the rooftop, nursing a plain soda amid the champagne toasts, when I overheard Ethan and his girlfriend Brittany huddled in a corner. "The plan is locked in," he whispered with a smirk that chilled me. "He won't suspect a thing. It's gonna be legendary." Brittany laughed, a sharp, echoing sound that blended with the music. Epic! He'll be blindsided. I brushed it off at first. Maybe some dumb prank or surprise vacation they were plotting. My mind was elsewhere, buried in upcoming merger reports and balance sheets. But then Ethan stood up, clinking his glass for attention. The rooftop fell silent, the city lights twinkling like distant stars. Everyone expected a grateful speech from the golden boy. Instead, he unleashed hell. "I hate to ruin the vibe," he said, voice cracking with fake emotion. "But something terrible happened. My grandfather's vintage Rolex, the one worth $15,000 and $5,000 in cash from my safe, they're gone. Stolen." Gasps rippled through the crowd. My Aunt Clara clutched her pearls dramatically. Then Ethan's eyes locked on mine, cold as the night breeze. I searched everywhere and found them hidden in Ryan's room, buried under his files. Time froze. Forks clattered, heads turned, uncles, cousins, friends, all staring at me like I was a criminal who'd crashed their perfect party. My mother, Susan's voice sliced through. "Always so jealous of your brother, Ryan. How could you?" My father, Michael, the man who'd taught me to tie my shoes and crunch numbers, just nodded grimly, pulling out his phone. "I'm calling the police. This ends now." Within minutes, 2 officers arrived on the rooftop, badges flashing under the string lights, questioning me publicly while the party gawked. No evidence, no search, just Ethan's word against mine. Humiliated, I was escorted out, my single bag tossed after me like trash. As the elevator descended from that glittering height, a fire ignited in my gut. Not despair, but rage. They didn't just kick me out of the home I paid for. They shattered my life over a lie. Little did they know this was the spark that would burn their empire down. But wait, before we dive deeper into how I pieced together the truth, tracked Ethan's secret sales online, and turned the tables in a courtroom showdown that left them bankrupt, hit that like button if you've ever felt used by those closest to you, and subscribe for more stories of reclaiming power. Trust me, you won't want to miss what comes next. I dismiss their whispers as nothing more than another one of Ethan's immature schemes, maybe a viral social media stunt or some over-the-top gift he was plotting. After all, my plate was full with looming deadlines at the firm, where I crunched numbers on multi-million-dollar deals that kept the lights on for everyone, including them. But as the night wore on, the rooftop buzzed with that artificial energy only money can buy. Guests mingled under string lights that mimicked stars, clinking glasses filled with vintage champagne that cost more per bottle than most people's weekly groceries. My Uncle David, the self-made real estate mogul who never missed a chance to flaunt his success, was at the center of it all, slapping Ethan on the back and booming about how his nephew was destined for the C-suite, just like me. It was the usual Mitchell family theater, Ethan as the star, charming and effortless, while I, Ryan, played the supporting role. The steady, unflashy one who made sure the show went on without a hitch. For 5 years, I'd been the unseen architect of this charade. It started innocently enough, back when I landed my analyst gig fresh out of college. Dad's consulting firm tanked in a bad economy, leaving him whispering over the phone about not telling Mom how dire things were. "It'd break her, Ryan," he'd said, voice cracking with shame. So I stepped in, setting up auto payments for the Brownstones' mortgage, $4,500 a month that gnawed at my savings but kept the roof over their heads. Then came Ethan's acceptance to that Ivy League feeder school, tuition hitting $50,000 annually. Mom called in tears. "It's his dream, but with your father's setbacks." The guilt was implied, heavy as lead. I logged into the portal and covered it, telling myself it was temporary, but temporary turned permanent. Credit card bills from Mom's spa retreats in the Hamptons, $500 a pop. Dad's failed investment schemes that racked up $20,000 in losses. Ethan's endless emergencies. A new laptop here, concert tickets there. I classified it all as loans in my spreadsheets, but deep down I knew I wasn't helping family. I was enabling their delusion. They lived like kings on my dime, while I scrimped on takeout and skipped vacations. Standing there on the rooftop, the New York skyline sprawling like a sea of ambition below, I felt the weight of it all. The wind whipped through, carrying snippets of laughter and the faint hum of traffic far beneath. I grabbed a water from the bar, avoiding the judgmental glances from waitstaff who eyed my simple suit amid the designer labels. That's when Ethan rose again, glass raised high. The DJ cut the music and silence blanketed the crowd like a storm about to break. "Thanks for coming out to celebrate," he started, voice laced with that rehearsed sincerity he mastered in debate club. "But I have to share something heartbreaking." He paused for effect, scanning the faces, his eyes lingering on mine with a glint I couldn't place. My grandpa's Rolex, the family heirloom worth $15,000 and $5,000 in cash I'd saved for a down payment. Stolen. Gone without a trace. The gasps were immediate, rippling like waves. Aunt Clara fanned herself dramatically, whispering to cousins about how awful. Ethan continued, his tone dropping to a whisper that carried across the open air. "I tore my room apart, checked everywhere. Then I found it all, stashed in Ryan's closet, hidden behind his work files." The world tilted, every eye swiveled to me, accusing, shocked, disgusted. Uncle David boomed. Ryan, you've always been the quiet one, but this? Stealing from your own brother? Mom's face twisted in betrayal. Jealousy, Ryan, it's eating you up. Dad didn't even look up from his phone. He was already dialing 911, muttering about handling this properly. The cops arrived faster than I expected. 2 officers pushing through the crowd, badges gleaming under the lights. They pulled me aside to a corner of the rooftop, away from the gawking guests, but still in earshot. Sir, we've got a report of theft. Mind if we ask some questions? One officer grilled me while the other eyed my bag like it held evidence. No warrant, no proof, just Ethan's word turning the party into my public trial. Humiliation burned hot as the questions piled on. Where were you last week? Any financial troubles? I stammered denials, but it was futile. Dad stepped in, face stern. Pack your things, Ryan, you're out. Tonight. Mom crossed her arms, nodding in agreement, her eyes cold as the city night. As I grabbed my duffel from the coat check, the wind howled louder, mirroring the storm in my chest. This wasn't just exile, it was annihilation. But as the elevator doors closed on that glittering betrayal, a resolve hardened. They thought they'd broken me. They had no idea. I was just getting started. The descent felt eternal, the city lights blurring through the glass. I stepped out into the bustling streets of Manhattan, the honks and sirens a chaotic symphony to my racing thoughts. My phone buzzed, texts from cousins, a mix of pity and judgment, but I ignored them. There was only one place to go. My best friend Chris's apartment in Brooklyn, a gritty contrast to the Upper East Side polish I'd funded. Chris, a freelance coder I'd met in college over endless ramen nights, opened the door without a word. He saw my face, the bag, and just nodded. Couch is yours, whiskey or beer. We sat in his cramped living room, the hum of the subway rumbling below as I poured out the story. Chris listened, no interruptions, his steady presence a lifeline in the chaos. Lying awake that night on his lumpy sofa, staring at the cracked ceiling, the pieces started clicking. Ethan's plan wasn't a prank, it was this setup. Why? He was always broke, chasing highs with Brittany. Designer clothes, club nights, rumors of gambling debts. The Rolex in cash, probably sold to cover his tracks. And me? The perfect scapegoat. The reliable brother who'd never fight back. But now, I would. This betrayal wasn't just personal, it was financial warfare. As an analyst, I lived by data, patterns, truth. I'd dissect their lies, cut the cords, and watch them fall. The fire in my gut wasn't dying, it was roaring. The elevator hit the ground floor with a soft ding, spitting me out into the chaotic pulse of New York streets. Horns blared, pedestrians rushed by like shadows, but inside me, that roar built into an inferno. They hadn't just accused me, they'd staged a public execution. But as I hailed a cab to Brooklyn, replaying Ethan's smug performance in my head, I knew this was war. And wars aren't won with tears, they're won with strategy. By the time I crashed at Chris's, the adrenaline crash hit hard. I paced his tiny kitchen, recounting the rooftop nightmare while he poured more whiskey. They called the cops on you? At a party? Chris shook his head, eyes wide. That's next level messed up, man. Yeah, it was. The officer's questions echoed, motives, alibis, as if I were some common thief instead of the guy who'd bankrolled their entire facade. Uncle David's voice boomed in my memory. Ryan, I always knew you had resentment bubbling under that quiet exterior. Stealing from kin, disgraceful. His words stung like acid, coming from the man who'd loaned Dad seed money for his failed ventures, money I'd indirectly repaid through my silent sacrifices. But the real knife twist? Mom and Dad's betrayal. Susan, with her perfectly manicured nails and society smile, spitting venom. You've always envied Ethan's light, Ryan. This jealousy, it's poisoned you. And Michael, my father, the one who drilled fiscal responsibility into me since I could count, dialing those cops without a flicker of doubt. We can't have this under our roof, he'd said, voice flat as a spreadsheet. Our roof? The brownstone I'd mortgaged my future for? As the police wrapped up, no arrest, just a warning to cooperate if needed. Dad handed me my duffel like it was contaminated. Leave now, Ryan. Don't make this worse. Mom nodded, arms folded, her eyes averted as if looking at me pained her. The guests whispered, phones out, probably snapping pics for gossip feeds. I walked out with my head high, but inside, I shattered. The cab ride blurred the city lights into streaks, each one a memory of what I'd lost. Not just a home, but the illusion of family. Ethan, the golden child, had framed me to cover his tracks. I was sure now. That $15,000 Rolex, Grandpa's pride, passed to him on his deathbed. And the $5,000 cash, Ethan's savings that mysteriously vanished. Bull. He'd probably pawned it all for his vices. Gambling apps buzzing on his phone, late nights with Brittany at underground clubs. Why me? Because I was the easy target. The reliable brother who'd never rock the boat, always cleaning up messes with my checkbook. Chris's apartment door clicked shut behind me, a temporary sanctuary in Brooklyn's grit. Exposed brick walls, the distant wail of sirens, a far cry from Upper East Side luxury. We sat on his balcony overlooking the East River, the Manhattan skyline mocking me from afar. They're gonna regret this, I muttered, fists clenched. Chris nodded. Damn right. What's your move? My move, cut the lifelines, but first, process the pain. That night, sleep evaded me, replaced by flashbacks. Ethan's accusatory glare like daggers, the crowd's judgmental hush, cops' radios crackling as they grilled me publicly. Verdict, guilty without trial. The humiliation fueled a rage so pure it clarified everything. No more enabling. No more shadows. Dawn broke over the burrows, gray light filtering through Chris's blinds. I grabbed my laptop, fingers flying over keys, not for work reports, but for reconnaissance. Ethan's socials, posts from seedy Atlantic City casinos, Brittany tagging him in lavish brunches he couldn't afford. Patterns emerged like red flags in a balance sheet. He'd sold the watch, stashed the cash for debts, maybe even drugs given the rumors. And the family, complicit in their denial. Uncle David's condemnation rang hollow. He'd always favored Ethan, the charmer, over the workhorse. Aunt Clara's pearl clutching, theater for her bridge club gossip. But the deepest cut was realizing this wasn't new. Flashbacks hit, Ethan crashing Grandpa's vintage car at 18, blaming me for not supervising. I lost my summer job, paid repairs while he partied on. Or the time he flunked midterms, claiming a biased prof, and parents rallied with complaints, while my B in econ earned a lecture on laziness. They needed a hero and a villain. Ethan shone. I sacrificed. No more. As coffee brewed, resolve solidified. I'd expose them, reclaim what's mine, and let consequences reign. The fire? It wasn't just roaring. It was an apocalypse waiting to unleash. Word spread fast. Texts from extended family. A mix of faux concern and outright blame. Cousin Sarah messaged, "Ryan, what happened? This doesn't sound like you." She was the only one who'd ever seen through the facade, calling Ethan the Teflon kid behind closed doors. Her call came that morning, Voice laced with fury. I was there after you left. They celebrated like nothing happened. Ethan toasting his justice. It's sick. She confirmed the pattern. Years of favoritism, my role as scapegoat. Remember when Ethan racked up that $10,000 gambling debt last year? They made you loan it, said it was family duty. Yeah, I remembered. The puzzle clicked. This accusation wasn't random. It was cover for his latest spiral. Fueled by her words, I plotted. First, the financial nukes. But that came later. For now, the pain morphed into power. They thought they'd destroyed me on that rooftop. Instead, they'd forged a weapon. The city awoke around me, oblivious, but my world had shifted. Betrayal's sting. It was rocket fuel. As the city stirred to life, that rocket fuel propelled me forward. I spent the day holed up in Chris's Brooklyn apartment, a cozy but cluttered space with mismatched furniture and walls lined with vinyl records, worlds away from the polished brownstone I'd funded. Chris, ever the loyal friend from our college days of all-nighters and bad coffee, didn't pry. He just handed me a key and said, Mi casa es tu casa. Take the spare room. Bed's fresh. His graphic design gig kept him out most of the day, leaving me alone with my thoughts, a laptop, and a brewing storm of realization. Staring out the window at the graffiti-strewn streets below, the East River glinting in the distance, I dove into the archives of my own life. It wasn't just anger driving me. It was a need to autopsy the betrayal, to understand how I'd become their slave to illusions. 5 years ago at 23, I'd celebrated my promotion to senior analyst with a quiet dinner for the family at a midtown steakhouse. My treat, of course. That same week, Dad called, his voice a shadow of its former confidence. The firm's downsizing hit hard, Ryan. Don't tell your mother. She'd crumble under the shame. His executive role vanished in a merger, severance barely a band-aid. Pride wouldn't let him beg, so I bypassed it. I accessed the mortgage portal for the Upper East Side brownstone, $4,500 a month, a king's ransom in this city. My salary could swing it, barely. I set up recurring payments from my account, framing it as a temporary bridge loan. We never spoke of it again, but it became the first chain. Then the links multiplied. Dad's attempt at a boutique consulting firm flopped spectacularly. $25,000 sunk into sleek office gear and client schmoozing dinners, all charged to cards I quietly paid off. Business investments, he'd call them, but they were black holes. Ethan's turn came next. Acceptance to that elite private university in Connecticut, tuition $50,000 a year, plus room and board pushing it to $70,000. Mom's call was a masterclass in manipulation. Oh, Ryan, it's his future, but with your father's struggles, how can we? Tears flowed, implication clear. I was the family's fix-it man. Logged in, set up payments, another loan I'd never see repaid. It snowballed. Mom's quarterly escapes to luxury spas in the Catskills, $600 sessions for facials and massages. Dad's golf club dues, Ethan's study abroad trip to Europe that turned into a party tour. Cable bills, utilities, even the plumber when pipes burst during a brutal winter, $2,000 fix. Texts from Ethan. Bro, car's acting up. Can you Venmo the mechanic? Parents are stressed. I did it all, classifying expenses in my mental ledger as duty, love, responsibility. But in Chris's quiet apartment, with the subway rumbling faintly below, the truth stripped bare. Love had blurred into exploitation. I wasn't a son or brother. I was a resource, an ATM with a heartbeat. My salary fueled their facade. The rooftop parties, the designer wardrobes, the envy of uncles like David, while I lived modestly, skipping happy hours to balance books. They drained me dry, emotionally and financially. And when Ethan's mess threatened exposure, they discarded me like a spent check. The realization hit like a subway car. I wasn't dutiful. I was duped, a pawn in their game of appearances. As evening fell, lights flickering on across the river in Manhattan, my phone buzzed. A call from cousin Sarah. 2 years my junior, but wise beyond her age, she'd always been the family's quiet observer, spotting the cracks others ignored. "Ryan, I can't sleep after last night," she said, voice trembling with rage. "I confronted them after you left. Told them you've been carrying this family for years. The mortgage, Ethan's tuition, everything. And Aunt Susan?" She just sniffed and said, "A son's duty is to support his parents." I nearly exploded. She rattled off examples I'd buried. Ethan borrowing grandpa's car at 16, totaling it in a joyride, and me getting grounded for not watching him while I was at swim practice. Or the time he cheated on a test, blamed the system, and got a parental intervention while my A- in math earned a lecture on underachieving. It's a script, Ryan. Ethan's the hero, you're the scapegoat. They need someone to blame to keep their perfect image intact. Her words were a balm and a blade. Validation that I wasn't insane, that the injustice was real, patterned over years. "Thanks, Sarah," I managed, voice steadier. "Means everything. Anything you need. Crash here, cash, testimony. I'm Team Ryan all the way." We hung up, and for the first time since the rooftop, isolation cracked. I had Chris's solid friendship, Sarah's fierce loyalty. It wasn't the family I'd lost, but a foundation for something unbreakable. The Brooklyn night deepened, but my mind sharpened. This wasn't just survival, it was rebirth. Betrayal had awakened me. Now, to turn suspicion into action, Ethan hadn't lost that watch and cash. He'd liquidated them. Why? Debts, vices, secrets. As an analyst, I'd hunt the data, expose the fraud. The game was on, and I was no longer playing defense. Sarah's voice crackled over the line, pulling me deeper into the vortex of memories. "It's not just the big stuff, Ryan. Remember when Ethan wrecked Dad's old Mustang at 17? He was out drag racing with his buddies, totaled the front end. $8,000 in repairs. Who got stuck with the bill and lost driving privileges for a month? You, because you should have kept an eye on him. And you were interning downtown that weekend, miles away. Or the college fund fiasco. Ethan blew through his share on parties and failed classes. Then they dipped into yours to even it out. Dad lectured you about family sacrifice while Ethan got a pat on the back for trying. They've always cast you as the villain to hide their sins. And Ethan's the biggest sinner of all." Her examples hit like punches, each one unearthing buried resentments. I'd suppressed them for years, chalking it up to sibling rivalry or parental quirks, but strung together, they formed a damning timeline. Ethan, the prodigy who could do no wrong, golden grades handed to him via tutors I indirectly funded, social circle built on our family's prestige that my checks maintained. Me, the reliable fixer, scapegoated for every glitch in their perfect narrative. Sarah's fury mirrored mine. They need a hero to worship and a goat to slaughter. You've been bleeding out for them, and they repay you with this frame job? It's monstrous. As she spoke, a colder logic pierced the emotional fog. This wasn't random cruelty. It was calculated. Ethan's theft story reeked of desperation. He was perpetually cash-strapped, flashing luxury on socials. Rolex selfies one day, gone the next, while begging loans for essentials. Whispers from mutual friends. Ethan hitting Atlantic City casinos, racking up tabs on underground poker apps. Brittany's influence. She was an aspiring model, always pushing for VIP club access. Exotic trips. The watch and cash? Not stolen, sold or pawned to feed his gambling habit, maybe even worse. $20,000 vanished. That screamed debt collectors circling. Framing me diverted suspicion, bought time before parents noticed the heirloom's absence. It fit. High risk for him, but he banked on my silence, my history of absorbing blows. "Thanks for the reality check, Sarah," I said, voice gaining steel. "I'm done being their doormat." "Damn right," she replied. "Hit me if you need backup, alibis, whatever. We're blood too, the sane kind." We hung up, her words a spark igniting action. Relief washed over me. Not alone anymore. Chris and Sarah, my new anchors in this storm. But sympathy wasn't enough. I needed proof, leverage. As an analyst, I thrived on data, trends, anomalies, truths hidden in numbers. This was no different. Ethan's lie was a puzzle to dismantle. The Brooklyn apartment felt less like exile, more like a war room. I paced the hardwood floors, city sounds filtering through open windows, distant horns, laughter from a nearby bar. Suspicion crystallized into resolve. First, sever the financial veins. No more propping their empire, but deeper, investigate. Track the Rolex serial from old insurance docs I had digitized years ago. Scour online marketplaces, eBay, luxury forums, pawn sites. If Ethan sold it, digital footprints lingered. And the cash. Bank statements might reveal withdrawals, ties to shady apps. This wasn't revenge yet. It was reconnaissance. They'd started with betrayal. I'd counter with facts. Night deepened. Manhattan's glow taunting across the river. I booted my laptop, fingers itching for the hunt. The game shifted. I was hunter now. Ethan's debts? I'd expose them. Family's complicity? Shatter it. The relief from Sarah's call morphed into fierce empathy for my past self, fueling a vow. No more shadows. Tomorrow, the cuts began. For now, in Chris's quiet haven, I plotted the unraveling. They thought me broken. They'd learn betrayal forges warriors. The vow solidified overnight, transforming Chris's Brooklyn haven into my command center. Dawn broke with purpose. I wasn't waiting for tomorrow. Coffee in hand, laptop open on the scarred kitchen table, I launched the assault. This wasn't blind rage. It was surgical precision. The analyst in me dissecting their dependencies like faulty investments. First target, the brownstone mortgage. I logged into my bank's portal, the interface familiar as an old enemy. There it was, the recurring $4,500 drain, labeled family support. My finger hovered over cancel, a flicker of old guilt surfacing. Dad's lectures on property as legacy. Mom's rose garden brags at society luncheons, all props in their play, funded by me. Guilt? Crushed under betrayal's weight. Click. Confirm cancellation? Yes. The line vanished. A chain snapped. No more holding up their castle. Next, Ethan's ivory tower. The university's bursar site. Credentials saved from years of loans. Next tuition installment, $1,500, due in days. I navigated to payment plans, my account linked as primary. Cancel. Warning flashed. This may result in enrollment hold, potential deregistration. Perfect. Let him taste real-world math. Actions equal consequences. Ethan, the eternal student partying on my dime, was about to audit Adulthood 101. The unraveling accelerated. Family cell plan. I was account holder for all lines, transferred ownership of theirs, Service would suspend in 24 hours without new payment. Premium cable and fiber internet, essential for Ethan's gaming marathons, Brittany's influencer streams, online chat with the provider, disconnect at billing cycle end, done in minutes. Mom's extras credit card, paid the $200 balance, last cent they'd squeeze, then removed myself as payer, closed it. Dad's lingering business debts co-signed in my name. A quick call to a lawyer friend from college. File to sever ties. Sue for reimbursement of past payments. $150,000 over 5 years with interest. He agreed pro bono, scenting blood. This is fraud, Ryan. We'll bury them in court. Papers drafted that afternoon. A legal bomb ticking. For drama's sake, I escalated, contacted the utility company. The Brownstones Electric and Gas, in my name from a temporary switch years back. Immediate shutoff for non-payment, I instructed. They complied. Power cut by evening, plunging their Upper East Side oasis into darkness. No warning. Let them scramble in the black, mirrors to my exile. Each click, each call was liberation. Shackles shattered, freedom roared through my veins. The apartment hummed with satisfaction, Brooklyn's grit fueling my cold glee. No destruction, just withdrawal of my lifeblood. Their empire, a house of cards tumbling, reactions hit like aftershocks. First tremor, Ethan's frantic texts from a burner app. Wi-Fi only, I guessed. Dude, phone's dead. What the hell? Fix it now. I replied once, I didn't break anything. I just stopped fixing everything. Blocked. Friends proxied. Ethan says internet's out. School project due. Lies so thin they insulted. Blocked them too. Day 2. Dad's voicemail, faux casual masking panic. Ryan, got a weird notice from the bank. Mortgage overdue. Glitch, right? Call them. Denial delicious. Saved it as evidence. Mom escalated. Showed up at Chris's unannounced, banging like a siege. Chris recorded discreetly from the hall. She burst in, designer coat flawless, but eyes wild. Ryan, darling, we've been worried sick. Bull. Cut the act, Susan. What do you want? Tears on cue. Your father's heart. The stress, the power's out, bills piling. It's killing him. Classic guilt arrow bouncing off my armor. Funny, the stress of framing your son as a thief didn't faze him, but paying your own way? That's the killer. She flipped. Ungrateful brat. After all we've sacrificed. I laughed bitterly. Sacrifices? You spent. I paid. Deals off, and oh, lawyers filing suit tomorrow. Every loan repaid with court fees. Her face drained, storming out in defeat. The Hoang loan built. Utility notices arrived. University emailed Ethan about holds. Their world cracked. My satisfaction soared. But this was prelude. Evidence hunt next. Expose the core lie. They'd regret awakening the warrior. The panic built like a gathering storm. Tremors rippling through their crumbling world. Utility notices flooded their mailbox. Power cut. Plunging the brownstone into eerie silence. No hum of AC or glow of screens. University emails pinged Ethan. Enrollment hold pending payment. Classes at risk. Their facade cracked wide. My satisfaction a quiet thunder. But reactions, they came fast, furious, predictable. First salvo, Ethan's barrage of threats via email, his phone dead, Wi-Fi spotty from a neighbor's signal. You bastard, what did you do? I'll ruin you. Tell everyone you're the thief. Sue for emotional distress. Fix this or else. Rage misspelled, incoherent, laced with desperation. I savored it. replying nil. Blocked. His minions followed, Brittany texting from her account. Ethan's freaking tuition due. He's dropping out because of you. Heartless prick. More blocks. Denial morphed to menace, but it bounced harmless. Day 3. The earthquake. Mom at Chris's door, pounding like Judgment Day. I'd just returned from a firm meeting. Suit rumpled, mind sharp on market volatility. Chris peeked, hit record on his phone from the kitchen shadows. Show time, he whispered. I opened to Susan, portrait of feigned despair. Hair perfect, coat pristine, but eyes manic, red-rimmed. She pushed past, ignoring Chris entirely. Ryan, thank God I've called non-stop. Worried you'd hurt yourself. Lies thick as her perfume. What do you want, Mom? My voice flat, arms crossed, blocking her advance. No Susan yet. Old habits lingered, but armor held. Tears welled instantly, performance honed from years of manipulation. Your family back. This madness, the house dark, cold, Ethan's school in chaos. Your father's heart, Ryan, he's collapsing under stress. Chest pains last night, doctors worried. Is this what you want? Killing him. Guilt arrows flew, aimed at my core. Dad's weak heart, from a minor scare years back, weaponized now. Not the accusation stress, not my public shaming, just their consequences. I stepped closer, voice low, unyielding. Let me clarify. Framing me as a thief, calling cops on your son at his brother's party, that didn't touch Dad's health? But paying your own bills, that's the assassin. She crumpled theatrically, sobs echoing in the small space. We've given everything, sacrificed for you boys. Bitter laugh escaped me. Sacrifices, spa trips, golf dues, Ethan's endless bailouts, all on my tab. You didn't sacrifice, you leached. And now, lawyers filing suit tomorrow, every dollar loaned plus interest, court ordered, $150,000 minimum. Enjoy the summons. Tears vanished like a switch flipped. The mask shattered, fury erupted real and raw. You selfish monster. After raising you, this betrayal will fight, drag your name through mud, prove you're unstable. Threats now, claws out. Get out, I said, voice steel, pointing to the door. This is my friend's home. You're trespassing on borrowed time. She stared, realization dawning. Her old tools, tears, guilt, demands, held no power. Queen dethroned, she spun, slamming the door. Picture frames rattling. Chris emerged, stopping the recording. Intense, man, you okay? Adrenaline surged, but I nodded, stronger. Better than okay. That's fuel. The confrontation crystallized resolve. No more doubts. Ethan's threats, Mom's theatrics. They exposed desperation, confirmed my path. This wasn't just financial severance. It was war. Time to hunt evidence, dismantle the lie at its root. The warrior, fully awakened, unstoppable. They'd poked the bear, now the mauling began. Mom's slammed door echoed like a finality, but it was just the overture. The warrior in me, forged from betrayal's fire, craved more than severance. Proof, irrefutable and damning. Ethan's lie wasn't a whim. It was cover for his rot. Time to hunt. Back in Chris's Brooklyn war room, adrenaline still buzzing, I transformed suspicion into strategy. The Rolex. Serial etched in my mind from digitized insurance docs. Model 126000. Number F927631. Priced at $15,000. Heirloom weight. The cash? Tied to it, probably fenced together. As an analyst, data was my domain. I'd scour digital shadows, laptop fired up, evenings blurred into obsession. Spreadsheets tracked platforms, eBay, Chrono24, Facebook Marketplace, Craigslist, niche forums like watchenthusiasts.net, columns, site, URL, search terms, vintage Rolex Oyster Perpetual 1 to 6000, notes, queries refined, serial partials, family heirloom sale NYC, days 1 to 3, frustration, dozens of listings, blurry pics, no matches, false alarms piled, a Ohio seller's photo zoomed, serial wrong, messaged politely, interested, can you share full serial for authenticity? Replies dashed hopes, doubt crept, maybe Ethan was slicker, cash deal in a shady pawn shop, untraceable, Chris checked in nightly. Any luck? I'd rub eyes, not yet, but he's sloppy. Poster's edge in a pic might give him away. Week 2, grind intensified, work by day. Projection spot on, boss praising focus. Nights in the trenches. Fuel, takeout. Coffee, burning rage. Breakthrough hit on a rainy Tuesday, buried in Horology Hub Forum. Fresh listing. FS, vintage Rolex OP 126,000, mint conned, 13K OBO. Seller, time trader 92. Photos grainy but case back glimpsed. Zoomed, pixels sharpened, F90T 7631, heart hammered, background, desk clutter, corner of a poster, Shadow Realm, a goth band Ethan blasted, same as his Instagram stories, not coincidence, proof, but needed ironclad, discovered more, forum chats hinted seller's location NYC, mentions of quick cash for debts. Tied to Ethan, his best bud, Tyler, had that poster in dorm pics. Ethan pawned via proxy. Trap time. New alias. Email mark.collector87@gmail.com. Forum profile vintagefan55. Messaged. Gorgeous piece. Exactly like my dad's old one. Serious buyer at ask. Favor, short video of secondhand sweep, fakes abound. Also, box papers, inheritance vibe, reply swift. Sure, vid tomorrow, no box papers, family passed down. Lie mirrored Ethan's gall. Next day, video attached, shaky 20 seconds. Watch ticking on desk, poster full view. Hand flips it. Tyler's tattoo visible. Then muffled voice. Hurry, man, Brittany's blowing up my phone and dealers wait. Ethan's timbre, unmistakable, but deeper. Background receipt snippet. Greenleaf Dispensary, NYC Weed Shop, $4,200 charge. Not gambling alone. Drugs? Cash for highs, watch sold to fund benders. Phoned a PI contact from work. Trace this possible narcotics link. Confirmed. Ethan's circle hit underground scenes, coke and pills. Accusation? Now criminal. Sale funded illegals, frame job to hide. Evidence compiled, screenshots time-stamped, video saved, folder exposed. Spreadsheet logged chain, serial match, poster ID, voice print. App analyzed, 95% Ethan. Receipt tying to felony buys. Phoned lawyer. Ad fraud, evidence tampering, potential charges. He whistled. This buries them, court will love it. Hunt over, triumph surged, how hung, mixed with fan no. Data unraveled their web, lies exposed raw. No longer victim, avenger. Climax loomed, confrontation with this arsenal. They'd framed me, I'd frame the truth. Watch them shatter. The mauling? Just beginning. The mauling began with a calculated lure. For days, the exposed folder burned on my desktop. A digital arsenal ready to detonate. Blind confrontation risked denial. No, this demanded spectacle. Their stage, live unraveling. Deep breath, phone in hand, I dialed Dad. Rings echoed like countdowns. He answered wary. Ryan. My tone rehearsed, defeated, contrite. Dad, we need to talk. This mess. I've reflected, overreacted maybe. Can I come over tomorrow? You, Mom, Ethan, all of us. Fix as family. Silence, then muffled consult with Mom. Whispers of triumph. Finally, senses. Back online, patronizing warmth. Of course, son, we knew you'd see reason. Dinner at 7. Welcome home. Home. Bitter irony. I prepped the USB. Clean slides, no fluff. Serial match, poster ID, video with Ethan's voice. Receipt tying to drug buys. Lawyer on speed dial. If it blows, we file charges. Work next day dragged. Mind on the showdown. Evening. Brownstone driveway felt alien. Roses trimmed. Facade intact. But power restored via desperate calls, I bet. Doorbell chimed. Mom opened. Forgiving matron mask. Ryan, dear. Worried so. Inside, tribunal assembled. Dad in leather throne. Ethan slouch scrolling. Brittany beside. Smug as ever. Wider audience. Ideal. Thanks for this, I said, standing center. No seat. Family's everything. Dad nodded magnanimously. Admit you're wrong, son. Take strength. Ethan snorted. Yeah, apologize, then repay my stolen goods. Opening perfect. Let's discuss that watch in cash. I approached their 75-inch TV, my gift last Christmas, plugged USB. Research time. Patterns in data, my job. They eyed impatiently. Screen lit, forum listing, Rolex gleaming. Sale post 2 weeks back, $13,000 ask. Mom snapped, nonsense, what's this? Clicked, case back close-up, serial circled. Matches our insurance doc, 100%. Dad leaned, frown deepening. Ethan stiffened. Coincidence, Mom stammered. Thought so, till this. Next, photo with Shadow Realm poster, side by side Tyler's Insta. Seller's desk, exact poster as Ethan's buddy Tyler's room. Ethan bolted up. Faked, you're obsessed. Calmly. Explain this. Video played. Watch ticking. Poster clear. Ethan's voice. Hurry. Brittany's blowing up. Dealers wait. Room froze. Receipt zoom. Greenleaf dispensary, 4900. Drug buy. Silence shattered universes. Brittany gaped, horror dawning. You sold it? For drugs? She stood robotic, grabbed purse. We're done. Don't contact me, ever. A door slammed. Later, her Insta story. Escaped a lying addict, warning to all. Ethan's world fractured. Mom wept genuine now. Ugly sobs. Ethan, how could you? Dad aged decades, gray-faced, shell-shocked, staring blank. No throne left. You sold Grandpa's watch, pocketed cash, for debts, highs, I stated, voice blade cool. Framed me to hide. Let them call cops on your brother. Destroyed us, all for your greed. Ethan collapsed, sobbing. Choked gasps, no denial. I needed it. Debts crushing. Sorry. Pathetic symphony, sweetest I'd heard, truth clawing free. In the wreckage, no triumph rush, just hollow victory. Empire of lies crumbled in seconds. Family illusion dead. I'd won innocence, but killed last hope. Turned, walked out. Door gentle click. Drive back blurred. Chris waited. How'd it go? Confessed. Over. The emptiness lingered, but path cleared. Rebuild, uncover more secrets, like inheritance whispers from old docks. They'd buried me, I'd risen. The rise from their burial ground wasn't triumphant fanfare. It was a quiet, relentless climb. Weeks after the brownstone showdown, echoes of Ethan's sobs and Brittany's slamming door faded, replaced by hollow routine. Work sharpened me, projections laser-focused, boss eyeing me for VP. But ghosts lingered, old scanned docs from Grandma Eleanor's estate, a folder I'd digitized ages back for preparedness. Curiosity or fate pulled me in during a sleepless Brooklyn night. Grandma Eleanor, Mom's side, passed when I was 12, soft-spoken widow who'd built a modest fortune in stocks. Her will, house to Mom and Aunt Lydia, jewelry split. Then, page 5, a testamentary trust, funded by $120,000 in blue-chip shares for my eldest grandson, dispersed at age 25. Me, now 28, 3 years past. No whisper. Heart raced. $150,000 today? Compounded? Executor named. Attorney Elias Thornton, retired in upstate New York. Google confirmed. Alive. Small firm in Albany. Hands shook dialing. Mr. Thornton. Ryan Mitchell. Eleanor's grandson. Questions on her will. He agreed to meet. Voice grandfatherly caution. Drive up. 2 hours through autumn leaves. Mind churning conspiracies. His office. Wood paneled. Book lined. Scent of pipe tobacco. I laid the printed clause. He sighed deeply. Glasses perched low. I recall this trust vividly. Eleanor distrusted your parents' spending, wanted you independent. Never heard of it. 25 came and went. Sorrow creased his face. I contacted you, or tried, via parents as you were at college. They painted a grim picture, you in trouble, gambling addiction, debts spiraling. Said lump sum would destroy you, begged management on your behalf. Small disbursements for safety. Rage boiled, same lies as the frame job. They invested it, he continued grimly. Claimed fiduciary duty, but records show failures. Risky ventures, dad's consulting flops. Dipped for fees, $30,000 siphoned. Current value, 427, but they blocked dispersal. Audacity stole breath. They'd stolen my future while I funded theirs. Fraud, I whispered. Thornton nodded. Breach of duty, embezzlement. I'll handle pro bono. Petition court for transfer. Recover losses. Justice demands it. Walked out into crisp air. Future crystallizing. Not just survival, dominance. Suit filed next week. Breach, fraud, demand full trust plus damages. Served at the brownstone, process server noting their shock. Discovery unearthed horrors. Emails admitting Ryan's too responsible. Better we manage. Ledgers showing funds funneled to Ethan's tuition gaps. Mom's luxuries. Dad's failed stocks cratering 40%. They'd gambled my inheritance. Lost chunks on bad bets mirroring Ethan's vices. Courtroom in Manhattan. Sterile. Echoing. I testified calm. Evidence stack irrefutable. Wills, bank trails, Thornton's expert breakdown. Mom wept on stand. For his good. Dad stammered denials. Ethan subpoenaed mumbled incoherence. Judge's gavel. Clear fraud, trust to plaintiff immediately. $427 plus $50,000 damages for breaches. Victory hollow yet sweet. $200,000 total. Their assets frozen. Fallout catastrophic. Brownstone foreclosed. Bank seized, auctioned to strangers. Estate sale, mom haggling over her antiques, tears real now. They downsized to a dingy Queens rental, cramped, peeling paint, no skyline view. Dad broken, stocked warehouse shelves, part-time, shoulders slumped eternal. Ethan, community college dropout, barista gigs funding basics, family pariahs, Uncle David distanced, invitations dried. $150,000 seeded my new life, down payment on a sleek Chicago condo, firm transfer for VP role. But the win? Deeper. Justice swung its hammer, pulverizing their empire. They'd tried burying me deeper with this theft. Instead, I emerged armored, their bankruptcy my epitaph to toxicity. Risen undeniably. The courtroom's hammer still echoed when the shadows returned. Months after the $200,000 win, as I settled into Chicago, VP desk overlooking Lake Michigan, condo sleek with skyline views, paranoia stirred, tail cars on commutes, strangers loitering near my building. Not imagination, instincts honed from betrayal screamed warning. Hired the PI from the watch case. Confirm surveillance. Report back. Private eye on you. Trailing patterns. Snapping pics. Traced to Ethan. Paid via sketchy wire from a burner account. Deeper probe. Ethan's dark web dives. Forum posts seeking discreet hackers. Crack bros finances. Plant fraud evidence. Goal. Smear me as embezzler. Overturn trust ruling, claw back funds, Tyler proxy again, coordinating drops, emails intercepted, forensics legal via lawyer, hack his bank, insert transfers, make him look dirty, appeal the judgment, he's unstable. Tension thrummed, followed to coffee runs, emails fishing for logins. One night, alert, unauthorized login attempt on my firm account. Traced IP to a Queens cyber cafe Ethan frequented. Enough. Lawyer looped in FBI cybercrimes. Pattern of harassment, attempted fraud, ties to prior theft, drugs. Presented chain, watch video, inheritance docs now hacking logs with Ethan's fingerprints, timestamps matching his barista shifts. Trap sprung, FBI sting. Posed as hacker on forum, Ethan bit, wired deposit, detailed instructions, frame for 50K skim. Meet set in a dingy park. Ethan arrived twitchy, bag of cash. Agent swarmed, FBI, hands up, cuffed, protesting. It's a setup, he's the thief. But evidence avalanche buried him. Conspiracy, wire fraud, cyber intrusion attempts, bail denied, flight risk, priors surfacing, old gambling busts, drug traces from dispensary raids. Court again. Ethan pled guilty to lesser charges, sentenced to 18 months federal, plus restitution, $20,000 to me for damages. Mom and Dad watched from benches, shrunken shells. No pleas swayed. Ethan entered in orange, swagger gone, eyes hollow with regret or fear. Final nail, civil suit from me, garnishing his future wages for emotional distress. Drama peaked, then ebbed, surveillance ceased, threats silenced. In Chicago's wind I breathed free, shadows lurked no more, pierced by relentless truth. Their counterstrike? Boomerang sealing their downfall. Risen armored, I turned page. Finale awaited. The finale unfolded not in flames, but in steady ascent. With Ethan's incarceration sealing the last threat, 18 months in federal pen, his appeals crumbling under evidence weight, Chicago became my fortress. VP promotion at the firm. Corner office, six-figure salary plus bonuses, leading high-stakes tech investments. Focus absolute, unburdened by family drains. Analyses sharper, deals closed with precision that earned industry nods. The $200,000 from trust and damages. Seed for independence. Down payment on a lakeside condo, minimalist haven with floor-to-ceiling views of Michigan's waves crashing like metaphors for washed-away toxicity. No ghosts here, just order, gym routines at dawn, evenings building something profound. YouTube channel launched on a whim. Finance Freedom Files with Ryan. First video raw, anonymous recount of betrayal. Frame job, inheritance theft, hacking Counter-Strike. Titled Framed by Family, Funded Their Lies. How I Broke Free. Posted midnight, woke to 20,000 views. Comments flooded. This is me, sisters golden, I'm the ATM. Parents stole my savings. Your story gave me courage. Subscribers climbed organically. 200,000 in a year. Community of survivors sharing toxic tales, rebuilding tips. Videos weekly. Build your escape fund. Spot financial abuse in families. Invest for independence. Roth IRAs to boundaries. And monetized modestly, but purpose eclipsed profit. Empowering others, healing myself. Therapy with Dr. Reyes helped, unpacking guilt, affirming no contact as self-care. Texts from mom. Ryan, please talk. Deleted. Wound sealed, not reopened. Love bloomed unexpectedly. Sophia, sharp fintech consultant, met at a conference panel. Her story mirrored, escaped controlling parents, built her firm from scratch. Sparks immediate, shared laughs over bad family dinners, collaborations on workshops blending my finance with her strategies. Partnership evolved, dates along the lakefront, mutual respect blooming to deep supportive love. No games, just equity. Partners in life, launching joint app for toxic tie trackers, helping users log abuses, plan exits. Updates filtered via Sarah, reluctant chronicler, brownstone sold at loss, parents in subsidized senior housing, cramped, Queen's grit replacing Upper East luxury, dad's warehouse shifts, turned to disability checks, confidence eroded, mom's society circles vanished, isolation her new companion, Ethan post-release, sober program menial jobs, warehouse picker, facing consequences one shift at a time. No redemption arc, just grind. Apologies whispered to Sarah, but I needed none. At the Financial Independence Summit, keynote in a gleaming Chicago hall. 600 attendees, applause thundering as I shared charts. Diversification, emergency funds, woven with my saga. Wealth isn't Lambos. It's freedom to walk from toxicity. Crowd nodded, tears flowed, I was their mirror. Back row, dad, solitary ghost, slumped, aged, cheap suit, ill-fitting. Eyes met across the sea of chairs, regret in his, perhaps pride flickering. No wave, no smile, just a slow nod. Acknowledgement, closure, turned, exited stage into light. Peace settled, profound. Journey wasn't vengeance, it was reclamation. Name, future, self. Hardest lesson, loved ones can chain you heaviest. Article learned, set financial boundaries early. Track shared expenses, say no without guilt. Spot toxic families, favoritism, manipulation, entitlement as red flags. Choose freedom over blind duty. True happiness blooms in independence, healthy bonds. If this resonates, faced family chains for well-being, share below. Thanks for joining. Subscribe for more.